Hey LD, you and I just discussed a an idea that I had, and I want you to just scrap that idea. I have an easier way to do this, so I'm going to explain that to you right now. First thing I want to do is I want to remove um, the link change functionality from this Delta sheet. So as you know, right now the B column multiplies to D and it adds it over here, and we're doing kind of a listening technique um, with these macros, the link change macros. So let's get rid of those altogether. Just delete them from the sheet because they are very resource intensive and they're not working. And also, let's change this start and stop button to this other start and stop button like this. Just give me one of this type of start and stop button. I don't need a clear button over there, but I do need start and stop. So here's my idea. Right now, when you press the button for build it, um, what I'd like to do is I, I no longer need these formulas added in the G column. So you can get rid of the functionality that adds these formulas. What I do need is I need these formulas. You can see that in the G column, we're doing E9 minus F9 is the formula you're adding. Um, if it's if it's the first letter, so if it's an A, we're doing E9 minus F9. And then if it's the second letter, we're doing F minus E. So I need the same thing done. However, I need it put into the E column, and I need it to kind of follow the same rules. So if it's the first letter, I want you to do uh, B minus C. If it's the second letter, I want you to do C minus B, and put that formula right here. Okay? Then what I want you to do, you're using some functionality on this first sheet that tracks the difference in volume. So as this number is climbing, I think it's this column, as this number is climbing, you're tracking the difference and you're just sending the difference to the text file. I want to utilize that functionality. What I want to do is I want you to put the difference that occurs um, in this cell every 1 second. I want it to go in this row. In fact, do it every 2 seconds. So every 2 seconds, I want to know the difference um, that appeared as a result of the E column changing. All right. So if the E column goes up by, let's say, 5, let's say it goes from 10,000 to 10,005, I want a 5 to appear here. And then 2 seconds later, it's going to go back to 0. And if the E column then doesn't change at all for the next 2 seconds, then F's going to stay 0. If the E column changes to, from 10,005 to 10,010, then F is going to go to 5. And so every 2 seconds, uh, I want this number to have the difference. Now, here's what I want to do with that difference. I want to take that difference and multiply it times delta for each row. So, boom, if a 5 shows up here, multiply it times delta for each one of these rows, um, and and then sum the values. So if it's 5, if a 5 is the difference and the delta is 0.5, then we're going to do 5 times 0.5 times 100. As you know, we have to multiply by 100. So 5 times 0.5 times 100, and I want to sum all of those values for this first group, which is basically the A's that come from this A letter here in this cell. So what I want to do is I want to sum all of those, and I want to send them to this cell. Then 2 seconds later, I want to do the same thing and send it to this cell. And then 2 seconds later, I want the same thing and send it to this cell. So there's basically about 12,000 periods in the day. There's 23,400 seconds in a day, in a trading day. And since we're doing this every 2 seconds, at the end of the day, I'll end up with roughly 12,000 rows here. And each row will contain um, basically uh, the amount of volume that went off because we have the difference multiplied by the delta during that 2 second period, and then summed for all of the A's or all of the M's or all of the next group. and then recorded um, going down the line. And then all I have to do is then sum those values and put them on the dump sheet. That's the value that I'm after. So since you're going to be doing this for this group here, and then you're going to be doing it for the M's again, and then you'll be doing it for this group, which is the next set of A's. You're going to have, in this particular setup, we have 6 codes. We have AM, AM, BN. So in that case, on this sheet, we're going to have 6 columns that are filling with data, 12,000 data points. So at 2 seconds past 9:30, when the market opens, I'll hit the start button that you're going to put up here, the new start button, and every 2 seconds, these rows will fill. So 2 seconds goes by, these first rows get filled. 2 seconds go by, these get filled. 2 seconds, 2 seconds, 2 seconds, and then that's basically what I want to do. Okay, I hope that can be done. My worry is that the difference will show up here. Let's say the difference is 5, and we'll go to multiply it right before we change this back to 0, and we'll miss. That's my worry, is that this 5 times whatever delta times 100, and then we have to sum each group and then record the value. I'm not sure if Excel deals with milliseconds. We might want to do a situation where um, you know, we're tracking this value every 2 seconds, or every, say, let's say 1.95 seconds, every 1.95 seconds. I'm sorry, we're tracking this value every 2 seconds, but at the 1.95 second mark, we basically do the multiplying and the summing and send the value, and then the next 0 can come in. So it basically leaves like a very, very small period of time that we might miss something, but highly unlikely. So let's say, for instance, at the 1.95 second mark, before this value technically would hit 2 seconds and then turn to 0, at the 1.95 second mark, we make the multiplication, we sum the values, and we send that value to this sheet in this row. And if for some reason, this value is 5 and it kicks over to 6 inside of that, less than 1/10 of a second, that's just an error that I'm going to have to deal with. It's a very small error, but it's one that I'll have to deal with. So that's my idea. Let me know what you think. I'm sending this over to you right now.